with the dirty headbanger, 10-5 on the Richter. Back again this time with new members. It's a Canes thing, we bout to get with ya. Folks talking, ain't saying a whole lot. We bringing that straight fire to blow the whole spot. We keep the whole block locked like a Fed pin and turn the game upside down like a head spin.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to You Bet CaneSport with Lee Sterling as we take a look at the Canes-Virginia game and some other top games in college football from a betting standpoint. I'm Gary Furman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always every week by Lee Sterling. And Lee, welcome back to the show. And last week, it was a little bit of a different week. We had you make the spread and then also pick the Canes game, which was a little bit unique for you. Right. This week, we have a spread. It started out at 3 points with Miami favored by 3. Right. And it has since gone up now to 5 points. So a little bit of a challenge for you in analyzing this game. We don't expect the Air King to start, which makes the line a little bit goofy in that usually when you see a line go in that direction like that right before a game, it's usually because the word's getting out that the quarterback is playing. Right. The Air King did a few things at practice this week, but we would be shocked if he ended up rolling out there to start the game against Virginia. It just makes so much more sense to give him another 17 days to get ready for North Carolina. So break it down for us from the handicapping standpoint and tell us what you're seeing this week.
All right. So usually when a line goes up, the public feels either the line's off or someone like the Air King's going to play. Right. So I'm shocked that it's going up as much. I thought it should have been probably 4 to start. So it's closer to, it went from a little too low, maybe a point too high. Usually these are dead numbers in college. 2 and 3 are pretty important. 5 is a dead number. Rarely do you see a game end in 5. So if you like Miami, you go with Miami. If you like Virginia, you go with Virginia. So in watching the Miami game, I think Miami's going to use their quarterbacks and be very conservative, which may not be a bad thing. So I've watched Bronco Mendenhall and studied his defense for many, many years. His philosophy is try to get a team into 3rd and 5 or longer. The reason he likes to do that is he doesn't blitz much 1st and 2nd down. Mm-hmm. If he gets you 3rd and 5 or longer, he's going to blitz probably 80 or higher % of the time. His feeling is he wants the quarterback to get rid of the ball quick. And even with as bad a defense as they've been this year, and this might be Virginia's worst defense by far, you can make plays. When he was at BYU, had a lot of success doing this. So maybe throwing the ball short and picking up smaller gains, 5, 6, 7 yards on 1st down, throwing the ball, or let's say it's 2nd and 7, 2nd and 8. You gain 5, 6 yards, you end up at 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. May not be a bad thing. So, I think both quarterbacks look pretty good last week, obviously against no competition. They threw the ball short, and they wanted to get them acclimated. I would say they're short passing. I would give them a 9, 9.5. Passes farther than 10 yards, maybe a 7, 7.5. But, that comes with time. I think both are going to be really good. So, feel good about that. Feel really good about the young receivers. The defensive backs look good. I like seeing Blades back there playing some more. There's a couple guys back there I haven't been fans of. Obviously, Ivy and a few in Hall. Love seeing Williams back there. I mean, he's a potential game changer. He really just has a really good feel back there. You don't see that out of usually a true freshman player.
He's there. You can't miss him.
You can't miss him, and he's going to get fooled a couple times because he's following eyes, But and you can get away with things like that in college football, sometimes. But eventually you'll get burned a little bit. But it's a learning process. So I thought it was really important that a young kid's play, and I think he's got to continue to play him here. So. Armstrong is a little different than most quarterbacks. He's a lefty, so the ball comes out a little bit different. You don't practice against lefties. I think he's one of the best 10 quarterbacks in the country. He's averaging over 400 yards passing games. Got a big, tall tight end. Got a guy that's like 6'5", 265.
I think he's 6'7".
Yeah, 6'7", 265. Huge.
Yeah.
couple good receivers. I think they're going to move the ball on Miami, but I think Miami's probably the right side, even with two young quarterbacks here. Now, if they fall behind, wouldn't shock me if King gets put in the game because the game is that important. You can't lose this game, and the games obviously get tougher after this. Virginia's in the basement right now, and except for Virginia and Florida State, no one else is talking about winning the ACC. So I like Miami here. I'll lay the 5 points. I have them winning this game, something like 35-28.
All right, I'm going to play a little devil's advocate to what you just said. Now, you noted Armstrong and how well he's playing, putting up 400-yard games like they're nothing. And you're expecting Miami to come out a little conservative with young quarterbacks,
right,
the way it looks. I don't know if they can afford to do that, Lee. I mean, I don't know if the Miami defense is going to be able to stop Virginia. If they perform at the level that they've been performing at,
right.
You're saying 28, which might be about right. I was going to say, you're going to have to get into the 30s at least to win this game. And I don't know if conservatism on offense is going to do it, but we'll see.
Virginia's linebackers and defensive backs are so poor in space, covering and tackling. You just want to get the ball to your playmakers. That's what's important. And that's the job of the quarterback. We've seen a lot of mediocre quarterbacks engineer and be pretty good in college football because they got playmakers. That's their job. Don't fumble it. Don't throw interceptions. So I think they're afraid of Miami's speed, which a lot of teams are. So, sometimes, you can mix in some chances going forward. You want to keep the ball in the offense's hands. We don't want to have our defense out there for 35, 38 minutes in this game. If they do, it spells trouble. So nothing wrong with having – ideally, everyone wants to score. But sometimes in certain games, you want to have 10, 12, 14-play drives, keep that offense off the field of the other team and keep your defense fresh. So I don't mind them throwing short. Just get it to playmakers. Let them make plays. That's it. Which we got a lot of really good young receivers.
No doubt.
Tight ends haven't done much yet. I'd like to see the tight ends more involved. I think both of them could be very good. So I'm excited about the game. Now, I may not be excited if we lose. It's not a play I'm giving my clients. We're always going to make a play on the Miami game. But I think Miami, if I had to bet the game, I'd bet Miami, and I have them winning 35-28.
All right. So, you say lay the 5.
Right.
And Miami's a team that has lost its last 4 games against Power 5 competition.
Right.
So as a handicapper, what's going through your mind as you're analyzing whether to lay the 5 or take the points in Virginia? Because you've done both this year. Yeah. You've gone both ways with Miami.
Right.
So it's not just that you're a Miami fan and you're biased. Like what's going when you're looking at that? What are you thinking?
So I obviously it scares you. They haven't played even close to their potential. I'm still watching. There's a couple times, like the right tackle, they're against Central Connecticut State, just whiffed one time. Guy just runs around them like it's nothing. Those kind of things can happen. We could, have our quarterback get blindsided and a fumble, strips. It's these guys are younger. It's much easier to look at NFL players and know what they're going to be. Also, the coaching, play calling. We all thought it would probably be a little bit better. So it's tough. It's not a game that I give my clients, but I think if Miami can play closer to their potential, which isn't asking a whole lot, I think they can take Virginia. Virginia, I have power rated, barely above Florida State, Duke being the worst team in the conference. So I think it's something you take a look at, and hopefully we're right.
All right. Yep. You've said it 2 or 3 times now. I'm not giving this game to my clients. Okay. How do you make that decision? Like, there's so many games, and you're going to pick out certain games to give to your clients. How do you make that decision?
Well, I'm trying to win money for myself. I'm a professional bettor. trying to win money for my clients. If I just gave out the high profile games, I wouldn't be in business, or teams, that I like or watch the most, although I watch probably almost every single game every week. So it's an inexact science. What I see and what a team should do sometimes doesn't mirror what a coach does. So that's the most frustrating thing. There was one time, I'll never forget this. I think Navy or Army, wasn't Air Force, was playing Rutgers. And Rutgers the year before had run all over. Had passed. Rutgers had passed. This was, I think, when Shiano was there. They had passed all over this team. And they're normally a running team. I think Ray Rice was either still there or he had left. But remember, Navy, Army, and Air Force don't practice against the pass much because they're practicing against their own offense a lot, which is a triple option. And they had, I think their quarterback same quarterback was returning next year, same receivers. And I think the quarterback had thrown for 340, 350 yards. They won by 4 touchdowns, 34-8. And I'm like, they're playing again. It's pretty much same personnel returning for Rutgers. They know they can pass on them. I'm going to give out Rutgers. And what happens? The offensive coordinator for Rutgers decides he's going to run the ball. He threw the ball maybe 12, 14 times the entire game. And they interviewed him after the game. They said, offense wasn't very good. I think they won at the last second. They didn't cover. They were laying a touchdown or 10 points. And he said they were expecting the pass. So I decided to run the ball pretty much the whole game. Well, shouldn't you go to your strength if you got a matchup? So, sometimes these coordinators, they outsmart themselves.
Yep.
Right. So, I'm looking to exploit weaknesses. Sometimes they're looking, it's like the double negative. So I don't.
All right. So I'm looking at one other thing in this Miami-Virginia game, and my instinct as just a layman fan, better, whatever you want to call me, is this is a great game for the over. You got, Virginia's defense not very good. Virginia's offense really good. Miami gives up points on defense.
Right.
It figures to be a high-scoring game unless somebody just lays an egg out there. What is the over-under on the Miami-Virginia game right now?
So right now, total is sitting at 62.5. So I predicted a total score of 63 points.
Wow.
The thing that so I work out game and total on everything. I predict a score. The thing we know what Virginia is. We don't know what Miami is. On offense, we don't know their game plan here.
Lee, we scored 69 points last week. What do you mean we don't know?
Right.
What are you talking about?
Right. I would favor. I predicted 63, so I would favor Miami a little bit, but we don't know. I mean, they could be real conservative and run the ball even more. The defense could come to play and play their best game. And there's been a couple times last couple of years where you're thinking, wow, it's going to be an over game, and Miami wins the game, against a couple teams, 35-10, something like that. So, it can happen. So,
all right. So that's Miami, Virginia, big game. Obviously, what else are you looking at this week? What do you?
So, how about the game everyone's going to watch? Alabama and Mississippi. Yep. So we love seeing Lane Kiffin. He's that he's been game planning probably since the summer for every Alabama game. His defense the last couple of years has been horrific. I mean, unwatchable. But the second year they're in the system, and they got a couple transfers. They are allowing 40 points per game last year, just 21 points per game in 4 games. And they're getting off the field, allowing just 31% third down completion. So that impresses me a little bit with Ole Miss. Corral, the quarterback, he wins this game. He's going to be the front runner. He's going to be 1, 2, and 3 because they're getting 14.5, 15 points. Now, everyone thinks Alabama is about the same as they were last year. Here's some statistics. that scare me off Alabama. They're 70th in run blocking. Pro Football Focus grades every player. 70th their unit in run blocking, 73rd in pass blocking. Alabama. Usually they're top 10, top 15 in both. They use play action last 8-10 years, and that quarterback just sits in that pocket and has all day to throw the football. He has a nice clean pocket. Not that much this year. Bryce Young has had to move even a couple times in the Miami game, but since then in the Florida game, we saw that offensive line exposed. So that could be a problem there. It's hard to throw vertically when you got getting mediocre pass blocking. And then the speed of the game. Ole Miss is going to speed up the game, 4th in plays per game. So they're going to play quick. And we saw Alabama wear down in that game against Florida. So if there's a lot of plays in this game, Alabama's good on defense, but maybe not where they were the last couple of years. Don't have the substitution guys to get in there and help out. So Ole Miss has improved. They got a kid, Sam Williams, watch him at defensive end, 4 sacks in the 3 games. They got a Maryland transfer kid that makes plays all over the field, a kid named Chance Campbell. Leads the team in tackles, and I think he has something like 8 quarterback hurries. So he could be a factor in the game. And Matt Corral threw 15 interceptions last year. He had a couple games, I think, where he threw 4 interceptions, 2 of them.
Yeah, that won't get it done against Bama for sure.
No, but he has not thrown an interception this year.
Oh, wow.
And so I think that sometimes you're in that system for a couple years. They were rotating guys, rotating his time until the middle of the year last year. But I think he's really come into his own here. So I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a barn burner. I think Alabama wins something like 45-40 or 45-42. I'll take the 14.5 in this.
And it sounds like you'll take the over, too. I don't even care what the number is.
The over, I think, is like 74.5, 75.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah. Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
That's hard. I can't. That's a lot of points for a Bama defense to give up. But
I think the game last year, I think they won. Memory serves. I think it was like 63-45, something like that. So the over was over early in the 4th quarter in the game last year.
Yeah. All right, what else you got? A couple other games?
Yeah, I like Boston College against Clemson. I talked about Clemson. I thought that, they had really fallen off, and we're seeing that right now. They now lost their best defensive lineman, Brian Breeze. Also, Tyler Davis is out. So 2 of the top 4 linemen are out for them. Will Shipley is going to be out for a little while. They're true freshman running back. They look ordinary. I mean, North Carolina State, I liked them last week. That was one of my top client plays. I thought they matched up well against them. They should have won the game in regulation. And I don't think they played extremely well. Boston College, now they have a backup quarterback, does Boston College. They pulled off the upset last week against Missouri. I think they can run the ball some here. One of the keys, my dad, former youth league coach, and like I said, we talked about his background. One of the things one of the first principles in wagering, never lay double digits when your offense is having trouble scoring points. And that's Clemson's offense to a T. Their defense is still decent, but just think that Clemson.
What's the line? What's the line? How many points Boston College can? How many?
16 points is Clemson.
16, wow.
Now, I know they're playing at home, but the points, they're going off reputation, and people bet teams they're familiar with. I think this ACC is wide open. I mean,
it absolutely is. Boston College is a well-coached team with a good quarterback.
Right. Well, the quarterback, Jervik, is hurt. He's out for the year.
Oh, is he really?
The backup is playing is not bad. He played one game last year and threw for like 520 yards. Played the last 2 games and has looked decent, number 6. But I'll take the 16. I think Clemson wins like 27-16. But, Boston College is going to shorten the game. They run the ball. They're not going to line up in the spread and throw it, do 3 and outs and burn 25 seconds off the clock. So that means less possessions. I think 16 points is probably the right side here. Take Boston College.
All right, give us one more.
Yeah, I like in the SEC, I like the Missouri Tigers. So we talk about, and we're going to talk about situational plays. They were in a bad spot last week, going to Boston College, out of conference game, playing. They had a poor run defense, does Missouri. They were playing a power running team. So unfamiliar setting, unfamiliar opponent, bad matchup. They lose. I think it went to overtime. They should have lost in regulation. So now they come home and face a team that's not a runner. Tennessee's a passer. One of their quarterbacks is doesn't look like if he plays. Hendon Hooker, not 100%. They might have to go back to Joe Milton. So I like the quarterback from Missouri. He's a passer. They have some weapons on the outside. So I think they're going to throw the ball on Tennessee. Tennessee's coming off a really tough game against Florida. They always get up for Florida. After that, I think there's something like 2-8 the last 10 games the week after playing Florida. So on top of that, I think Tennessee ends up in a lot of third and long situation. And I'm watching whenever Boston College got in third and long, couldn't get off the field. They couldn't stay on the field because Missouri has some really good blitz packages. So you get in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, they will come after you. And that's the problem with Tennessee's quarterbacks. They're horrific in those situations. So good blitz packages there for Missouri. Underrated receivers, underrated quarterback. Give me Missouri here. Line's like 2.5 to 3. I'll take the Tigers here over the Vols.
All righty, Lee. I'm sure everybody appreciates the tips there. Miami fans with the Thursday night game are going to be able to watch a lot of football on Saturday. Great time, I would say, if you want to check out Lee Sterling's Paramount Sports service. This might be a good weekend to do it with so much time on your hands to watch all these games, and he'll have much more than what he just gave us on the show here. So you can check it out at ParamountSports.com. You see the number at the bottom of the screen, 1-800-400-9741. Lee, I know you'll be out there at Hard Rock for Thursday night's game. So it'll be very interesting to see which Miami team shows up and if the Canes can kind of break this bad streak they've got going against Power 5 competition and pull out a W and get them.
Cross our fingers. We're going to cross our fingers, Gary.
Yep, cross your fingers for that and winning by more than 5.
Right.
For Lee Sterling, I'm Gary Furman. Thank you for joining us on You Bet CaneSport. We'll see you next time, everybody.